Hello and welcome to Perfect Glamour Fashion. In today's tutorial, we're going to be learning how to cut this trending overbust corset with bust caging. This is the pattern drafting section of this tutorial. So keep watching. So in your pattern paper, mark your start line, and then I've already divided my shoulder by 2 and marked. I came down by 1 inch to form the shoulder slope. Also, I marked 3 inches as my neck width, and then I joined the points together. So the next thing I'm doing now is to mark my armhole length. Armhole length is usually your bust divided by 6 plus 2 inches. So I'll mark that length and I'll square up the line. Okay, so once I'm done doing this, I'm going to divide my bust into 4. So your bust divided by 4 is what you're going to mark to form your armhole angle. Okay, so once you're done forming your armhole angle, the next thing will be to divide your armhole length into 2 and mark, and then you come in by ½ inch. If you have been with us on this channel, we've done this several times. It should be very easy for you to do. Okay, so this is how we achieve our armhole. Now after ruling out our armhole, the next thing we're going to do is to mark our vertical measurements. Vertical measurements include your nipple point, your under bust, and your front half length. Now remember that if you are forming a bustier, once you are drawing a bustier pattern, you should take note of the difference between your front arm length, your front half length, sorry, and your back half length. So what I'm marking now is the front half length. For this my client, her front half length is 15.5, and so that's what I marked for the front. Then after that, I marked the waist to hip length. Okay, for her it's 8 and I've marked that. The next thing I'm doing is to label my lines. I also went ahead to square up my chest line. That's the armhole line, just square it up. All right, so the next thing to do is to divide your nipple to nipple measurements by 2. Hers is 7, so divided by 2 is 3.5, and just square up a straight line with your straight ruler. Let your line stop at your nipple point. Okay, next you're going to mark 0.75 on both sides of the line, on your under bust, on your half length, and on your hip line. Okay, so you're going to square up this line. This is going to serve as your dart legs. At the end of the day, what you have is 1.5 inch of dart intake. So the next thing is to use your curved ruler. Now when you are connecting the points from your under bust to your nipple point, use your curved ruler facing downwards. It actually gives more fullness. Okay, if you observe the way I'm using my pattern master. Now on your shoulder slope, you're going to divide whatever you have on your shoulder by 2 and mark, and then you're going to connect that point to your nipple points. So this is going to help us form the shoulder darts. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is to impute our waist circumference, that's our waist divided by 4 plus that intake, and then hip divided by 4 plus that intake. Do the same thing for your under bust if you want to, and then you're going to connect this point. Remember, we've already done our bust divided by 4 when we're doing our armhole. Okay, so just connect these 3 points. Next, go up by 4 inches from your chest line. This is going to serve as your overbust. Okay, so just square up the line there, and then on that shoulder line, mark 0.25 on both sides and connect it back to the nipple point. Okay, 0, and then extend the line all the way to the shoulder, the way I'm doing it now. Now the next that we're going to be doing is the bust dart. Now come down from your nipple point or your bust point by the difference between your front half length and your back half length. The difference between the front and back half length for this my client is just 1 inch. So that's just what I came down by, and open that up. Open up that line and then open up your shoulder line also. Now this is going to enable us to close the shoulder darts to form our scoop neckline. Okay, so close the shoulder darts, let the two lines that you just ruled connect to each other, and then you're going to just rule out the line so that it will be straight. The next thing is to use your curved ruler and then curve from your chest line to that overbust line. I hope you got that. The next thing we're also going to do is to extend our armhole by 1/2 inch. So from the shoulder, come out by 1/2 inch, and then on the chest line, come out by 1/2 inch. And then connect with your curved ruler. This way you have extended your shoulder. This is to ensure that there will be no gaping in your bust area when you are done making this corset, okay? So the next we're going to do is to connect the second that leg to this our new armhole now. Just watch closely how I'm doing it. The second that leg to this our new armhole. And then when you are done doing that, you just close your bust dart. So you close back your bust dart, and then that is it for the neckline. Are you seeing how very easy this style is to draft? Okay, so now I'm labeling what we have. Now to create our extra dart line, you're going to divide what you have on your half length, the side of your half length, divide what you have into 2, and then just connect it, just form a straight line all the way up. You can do this with freehand, or you can just divide what you have on the side of your half length by 2. Okay, now mark 0.25 on the 2 sides of that line, and then form another dart. This is going to serve as your extra style line, and it will also help in snatching and giving it that hourglass shape. All right, if you have any questions so far, remember to ask in the comment section. I'll be right there to clarify on anything you do not understand. Now by the side, go down by 4 inches, and at the center front, go down by 6 inches. Now this is optional. This depends on how long you want your corset to be, but 6 inches from your half length is okay for a standard corset. Okay, so the next thing I'm doing is just to label and then to cut out. If you've enjoyed this video to this point, do well to give it a thumbs up, and if you're new to this channel, please subscribe and put on your notification bell so that you'll be the first to be notified when we post a new video. And to my returning subscribers, I love you. Thank you for always engaging with my videos. Now we are starting the back, drafting the pattern for the back. First of all, like we did in the front, divide your shoulder by 2, come down by 1 inch to form your shoulder slope, and then go in by 3 inches for your neck width and connect the points. So next we come down by our armhole length, which is your bust divided by 6 plus 2, and we'll square up that line. And the next thing we'll do is to divide your bust by 4 and mark, and then form your armhole angle. And on that line, we're going to divide it by 2. The armhole line was going to be divided by 2 and mark, and come in by 1/2 inch. And then with your curved ruler, connect the points to form your armhole. Okay, so this is what we did for the front, so just do it for the back also. Now the next thing we're going to be doing is to mark our nipple points for the back. Now we're going to mark our nipple points and then our back half length. Remember, we use the difference between the front half length and the back half length to form the bust dart for the front. So you're going to mark your actual back half length. Okay, and then I'm squaring up the line. If you notice, this doesn't have any zipper allowance because it's not going to have, I'm not going to be adding zip to this corset. It's going to be, I'm going to be using drawstrings and all of that. Now I'm also marking my waist to hip. Whatever I use for the front, what I'm going to use for the back. I used it for the front. I'm also going to use it for the back, and I'm also squaring up the chest line. So I'm labeling out the lines so that you can see what I'm doing on each of the lines. This is the chest line, this is the nipple point, this is the half length, and this is the hip. Now you divide your nipple to nipple measurements by 2 and mark. Hers is 7 inches, so divided by 2 is 3.5. So we are basically forming the basic bodice block for the back. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do now is to mark ½ inch. Remember, we use 0.75 for the front, but we're using ½ inch for the back. I'm marking 0.5 on the half length, and I'm marking 0.25 on the hip and on the chest line. So 0.25 for the hip and the chest line, but 0.5 for the half length. Okay, so this is going to help me to do both the overbust contouring for the front and then for the back also. I hope that made sense. All right, so we are going to divide our waist by 4 and add your dart intake. Don't forget to add your dart intake. We're doing the same thing for the hip divided by 4 plus dart intake, and then we are forming the cuff for the back. So now we're almost done actually. So the next thing we're going to do is to just come down by ½ inch and then form your neckline. Now I had to bring in the front piece to see where I actually want to wear the armhole. Remember that we extended the armhole for the front, so I'm going to import that front to the back so that I can measure where to start my armhole from for the back. I'll also do the same thing for the hip region. Remember, we came down by 4 inches, so I placed the side of the front to the back to form that, to get the accurate thing I used for the front. I hope that makes sense. Now to form the extra style line like we did in front, you're going to divide what you have in the side of your half length by 2 and form a straight line. And on that straight line, on the half length still, you're going to mark 0.25 on both sides. Remember, we said that this is to do our waist snatching, okay, to give that hourglass shape that we always want to see in our corset. And if you want it to be even tighter, you can use 0.5 on both sides. Okay, now for the at the center back, you're going to go in by 1 inch. I don't want this corset to be too open at the back, so I'm going in by 1 inch, so that by the time by ½ inch, so that by the time I lace it, it won't be too open. But you can go ahead and go in by 1 inch, by 2 inches, depending on how you want the back to be. Okay, so this is me identifying where I'm going to place my eyelets, and we are actually done. It's very simple, very straight to the point. If you have any question, just ask in the comment section and I will clarify you. Okay, so we are cutting out our back piece and we are done with today's tutorial. So see you in my next video. Bye.